Chapter 566, The Details of Clothes. Klein's lips curled up in a slight nod, in response to Miss Justice's pleasant greeting. He was just about to introduce the hermit to everyone, and everyone to the hermit when he noticed that Miss Justice didn't stop. Her gaze shifted to the other side as she greeted, "Good afternoon, Mr. Hanged Man." This time, she didn't follow the order of the tarot cards, but followed the order in which the person joined the tarot club. After this round of greetings, the hermit will essentially get to know everyone, and there's no need for the fool to introduce her. Miss Justice is obviously doing it on purpose. She's really considerate. As long as a beyonder of the spectator domain gets serious, they act differently for matters like this. Klein was surprised for a moment before he praised her silently. At the same time, Alger responded to Audrey's greeting while cautiously sizing up the new member. Female, it's barely possible to tell that she's wearing a black gown with many patterns on it. Her hair is black and her eyes are a little purple. Alger managed to find certain traits in her blurred, distorted image. Suddenly, his heart sank as he recalled the scene he saw a few months ago at the pirate convention. Back then, scattered starlight had magically formed a long bridge between the huge sailboat and the palace in the depths of the island. Admiral of Stars Catlia, who was wearing a black classical robe, had walked in midair, carrying a celestial globe and a short scepter by her waist. And the celestial globe resembled the strange, weather bottle that Alger had previously received. The latter had coincidentally shattered after he had been pulled into the gathering by Mr. Fool. Could it be her? She looks somewhat similar based on her attire, but the Admiral of Stars wears glasses, while she doesn't. It cannot be confirmed. It'll require further observation and evidence. Unfortunately, I only saw her from afar and know little. Regardless, I should be careful. When exchanging information, I should try my best to avoid divulging details about my actual situation. The world is Mr. Fool's blessed. Letting him know of my identity is totally different compared to the others, the other members. After the matter regarding the sea god, Mr. Fool has recovered a considerable amount of strength. He's even able to pull in a powerhouse like a pirate admiral. Thoughts flashed through Alger's mind as he slightly fidgeted in his seat. Mr. Hanged Man's body language tells me that he is alert and guarded. Does he know the female newcomer, or has he guessed something? How intriguing. Audrey's gaze swept across without leaving a trace and landed on Derek. At this moment, Catlia was also carefully and seriously examining the members of the tarot club in the order they were greeted in. The mysterious purple color in her eyes slowly flowed in an indiscernible fashion. Although she couldn't truly see through the blurry concealment of the fog, she could still make out the details of their clothing. The Hanged Man, a man in his prime, in his 30s, and has messy hair like seaweed with a rare deep blue color. This is a common mutation seen in the sailor pathway. He's wearing a robe with the patterns of storms and waves, someone from the Church of Storms. Catlia's pupils contracted. She didn't show any abnormalities as she continued to observe the rest of the members. The son, a young male, perhaps still underage. His attire is rare and has a simple, ancient sense of beauty. It's very tight, making it suitable for combat. Is he a beyonder in this aspect? The world, neither an old man nor a young man. He has a gloomy temperament and wears a hooded robe. He has a feeling as though he's not a living person. Is this something similar to Senner or Steel Mavetti, or some other sequence I'm unaware of? The magician, a young woman, wears a common lone-styled dress. Apart from having a trait of languidness, she doesn't have any other characteristics. This kind of person is the easiest to ignore, so she needs to have more attention paid to her. The moon, a young man, he sits very casually. Black hair, red eyes, and wears an Earth Mother priest robe. There seems to be only one possibility for such a combination, a vampire. As expected, the members of Mr. Fool's Tarot Club aren't that simple. Just a preliminary judgment involves two churches. Catlia withdrew her gaze and met Audrey's gaze. Sensing the other party's intention to ask, she nodded lightly. The hermit. Catlia had spoken in ancient Fasak, deliberately avoiding the more familiar languages of Intis and Loan, as she had done so back when she was communicating with Mr. Fool. And she had noticed one thing. Mr. Fool had previously told her that the time the gathering was being held was at 3 p.m. on Monday, Backland time. Does this mean that the members of this gathering are currently predominantly made up of people from Lone? Katlia made her own judgment. Justice, Audrey smiled faintly in return. Good afternoon, Ma'am Hermit. She had noticed what the hermit had been up to and had summarized the person's traits in her heart. She's a very cautious woman who has rich experience in the beyonder world. She's quiet but not introverted, and she's very confident in her observation skills or certain abilities related to her eyes. Furthermore, her clothing style and the short scepter hanging at her waist indicates that her sequence pathway leans towards mystery. This requires confirmation. Perhaps it's just a hobby. At the same time, Katlia also managed to clearly make out Miss Justice's clothing. She wears 2 hanging earrings, and the earrings are small and exquisite, inlaid with very high-quality emeralds which accentuate her emerald green eyes. They're obviously worth a lot. The necklace around her neck looks unique. It's lined with diamonds that are quite difficult to count, but it's nothing ostentatious. Her milky white dress is simple yet beautiful. It's tailored to be elegant and befitting of her status, like the work of a stylish designer. As she went through the details, Katlia couldn't help but close her eyes. A 17-18-year-old girl, very rich. The way she moves and her etiquette makes her highly suspect to be a noble with high status, a lone noble. Katlia didn't know why she sighed in her heart. After a round of greetings from Audrey, there was no need for Klein to introduce the original members of the Tarot Club to the hermit or the hermit to the rest. Just as she sat down, Audrey once again turned to the very end of the long bronze table. Mr. Fool, I'm out of town and have only managed to find 1 page of Roselle's diary. At the last gathering, she had provided 2 pages, so she was 2 pages short of paying off the debt. However, with her being in the manor, even if she often went to the city, all she managed was to collect 1 diary page. In addition, due to the addition of the new member, Hermit, she was careful not to mention the psychology alchemists. She didn't mention Backland or East Chester County at all. Roselle's diary. Katlia almost lost control and couldn't help quickly turning her head to look at Miss Justice, who sat on the same side as her. She clearly remembered that the tall and beautiful figure had once sighed. It's not a notebook, it's his diary. However, other than him, no one else would be able to understand it. The members of the Tarot Club know that Roselle's notebook is a diary. Mr. Fool is collecting Roselle's diary. Is he trying to crack it to find the secret hidden in that part of history? This is more like a revived ancient god. All sorts of confused and shocked thoughts surfaced in Katlia's mind. She maintained her staidness, just turning her head in a normal fashion to observe the first transaction. After experiencing many things and trudging her way towards becoming one of the 7 great pirate admirals, she understood that the most important thing for her to do after joining the Tarot Club was to listen more and speak less. Mr. Fool, I received 3 pages, for said with a smile. They had been mailed by Dorian Gray. At last week's gathering, as she hadn't received her teacher's response, and due to the cold weather, she hadn't attended any beyonder gatherings, so she couldn't provide a single page. Derek followed immediately. Mr. Fool, I've copied a new legend of the ancient gods. Tusk, he's always using the legends of ancient gods as a perfunctory payment. Emlyn glanced contemptuously at the sun. Suddenly, he thought of something. Although the sun claimed that the one they worshipped was the Lord that created everything, he had never tried to cover up the influence that Giant King, Aumir, had on them. However, he had never mentioned that Giant Queen Umbella was who the Kingdom of Silver originally believed in. Could it be that the City of Silver isn't equal to the Kingdom of Silver? I'll wait a minute and try it out. Emlyn had never been able to get over the sun's earlier slandering of the Sanguine. 4 pages of Roselle's diary, a legend of the ancient gods, that's pretty good. I wonder if it contains information about the High Elf, Kohainum? Alas, after Mr. Hanged Man learned that the world is a blessed, I cannot make the world ask questions without any qualms. Klein thought quickly and said with a chuckle, very good. He helped Miss Justice, Miss Magician, and Little Sun conjure their respective content, which flashed into the palm of his hand as he casually browsed through them. Mr. Fool doesn't seem to be deciphering it. He can read Emperor Rosel's diary. What's his background? What is his true identity? A sense of indescribable terror and dread suddenly welled up in Katlia's heart. She quickly retracted her gaze and looked at the long bronze table, as if she was memorizing the simple patterns on the table's surface. The reaction the hermit showed when realizing that Mr. Fool is able to read Rosel's diary exceeded my imagination. Is she concerned with this matter, or is it somehow related to her? Audrey pursed her lips thoughtfully. Although the other party hid it quickly and naturally, this was still obvious enough for a sequence 7 from the spectator pathway. Klein sensed the abnormality of the new member, the hermit, because he also wanted to see how this member of the Moses ascetic order, who had a great deal of knowledge, would react to it. The result left him surprised. Isn't that a little too intense? Klein didn't have the luxury of time to think about it, as his gaze fell to the first page of Rosel's diary.